Welcome back, students. I'm Mrs. Divya, dealing with Chapter 7, Evolution, and this is the 8th video. Previously, students, we have discussed the different inferences drawn by different scientists, that is, about the evolution of life forms. Yes? So now you may be having different questions on why we should believe all these different theories given by different scientists. Yes? So you may ask me, what are the evidences for evolution, or what are the evidences for all these different theories suggested by different scientists? Yes. So, for that, students, we can say that the present day complex forms have really evolved from the simple forms of the past, and this is proven by different what evidences or the proofs, right? What our ancient scientists have been observing, and they have documented about these in their theories. Okay, so let us study which are the different types of evidences. Right now, the evidences can be grouped or classified into different types, such as the paleontological evidences, where we are going to study the fossil records. Then we have the embryological evidences, that is by studying the developmental history of organisms. Then, students, we have the anatomical evidences, that is by studying the different internal structure of the organisms. We are comparing the structural organization of the organisms, we can draw out their relationship. Okay, then we have the molecular evidences, that is by studying the genetic history of organisms. Okay, so let us start with the paleontological evidences. Now, students, what do you mean by this term, paleontology? It is nothing but the study of fossils found in the rocks. Mainly, they support organic evolution. Okay. So, children, the fossils, they are also called as the written documents of evolution. Okay, they are called as the written documents of evolution. Why? Because they are one of the fundamental keystones, right, which support the organic evolution of life. So, here, what do you mean by this term fossils? So, fossils, as I told you, we find them when we dug into the earth's crust, or we find them on the rocks. So, they are nothing but the dead remains of plants and animals that lived in the past, and they are found in the various geological layers. Okay, so this is a 1 mark question. What are fossils? So, fossils are the dead remains, okay, or you can also say they are remnants of the plants and animals that lived in the past, and which are found in the various geological layers, right? So now they are usually found in the sedimentary rocks. Okay, so you don't find the fossils everywhere, or not all the animals are fossilized. So they are generally found in the sedimentary rocks. So when you are studying about the formation of fossils, what we call it as the fossilization. So during fossilization, it is seen that what is fossilization? Formation of fossils. Okay, so during the formation of fossils, we can see that in the earth's crust, the primitive, the ancient forms, they are found in the lower or the deeper layers of the earth's crust, whereas the present day forms, okay, or the next evolved forms, they are found in the upper layers of the earth's crust. So now let me tell you how these fossils are actually formed. Okay, so students, not all organisms are fossilized, right? So during the formation of fossils, it occurs only during certain ideal conditions. That is, it should be a suitable condition for the formation of fossils. So that takes place in the sedimentary rocks. Okay, so what are these sedimentary rocks now? Sedimentary rocks are formed when the rainwater, it removes the soil particles. See, whenever the rainwater is running off through the soil layers, it washes off the uppermost layers of the soil, right? So the soil particles, the mud, silt, everything, it is carried through the rainwater, that is from the earth's surface, and it is washed into the rivers, lakes and oceans. That is, it is washed into the river bodies, right? And when it is being running, the rainwater, when it is passing through, it carries with it also the plants, animals are also washed away along with that, right? So those things, now they settle down in the water bodies. Okay, so those itself are called as the sediments, right? So these sediments, they settle to the bottom along with those plants, animals, right? And it forms one layer. Okay, so every year like this, new sedimental layers will be formed, right? So the plants and animals which were present in the previous layer, they settle down there itself. Okay, so I'll show you how actually the fossils might have been formed, right? So this is how the sedimentary layers are formed, right? Now let me show you how fossils are actually formed there. So let us start some 100 million years ago, right? So there are some primitive forms. It might be the invertebrates might be there. So they are present on the seabed, okay, and they die there on the seabed. So what happens? They will be buried in that sand, right? So now on this dead remains, we can see that more sand accumulates on this, and those, because of that pressure on the lower layers of the sand, they what as more sand accumulates, what happens? Sandstones will be formed under pressure, right? So now those remains of those invertebrates which had died and which were settled there, what happens? They harden, they remain like that only. Okay, then so what happened now? One layer has been formed. This is one layer, right? Then next, think after some millions of years later, what happened? Dinosaurs were there in that area. So think that dinosaur died, right? And now what happens? Their bodies, their remains, they are buried in that mud now. Okay, so this mud now will also be compressed, right? So this mud is also compressed now into, then it hardens and rocks are formed there. And above that rock, where is it formed now? Above the rock which is containing those earlier invertebrates. So see here, first initially invertebrates are present. On that some sand particles have hardened, forming rocks. Then on that those dinosaurs have died and their remains are there. On that again sand particles, they settle and again it hardens. Okay, then again millions of years later, the bodies of think some horse like creatures, any other animals, they die in that area, and in the same manner they also get settled there, they get fossilized in those rocks of those above earlier rocks. Okay, so here you can see that there is the invertebrates, then the dinosaurs, then the horse like creatures, they die and they also bury there itself, right? So now much later, what happens? After many years, or after again millions of years, if that on that sand particles, if the water flows, see, on that if the water flows and if it wears off all those rocks and all, what happens? This upper layer gets exposed, right? So during the study, the geologists, when they are studying the earth's crust, when they dig out, what happens? First one which they see, they consider it to be the the present day or the later evolved forms. Okay, then slowly when they go on digging that earth's crust, they can see the primitive forms. So like this, every year students, a new layer of sediment will be added above the earlier formed layer. Okay, so along with that, plants or animals which have died, they also get buried there and they get fossilized. Got it? So as they get locked up in that sedimentary rocks, they convert into fossils. So that is why not all the animals and plants are fossilized. Okay, so if that would have happened, then you could have seen that all organisms are still remaining as the fossils, right? So that is why fossils are formed only during certain ideal conditions, that is in the sedimentary layers, right? So not all organisms are fossilized. Very few such fossil evidences we have got, and based on those observations, we are studying the our history of our past. Okay. So students, this is how fossils are formed. So that is why, as I told you, we can see that in the lowermost layers we can form the primitive or the ancient forms, and as you go upper, you can see the recent forms have been fossilized. So by studying these different sedimentary layers, what you can come to know by this? So on the when you study those fossils in these different layers, you can see the geological time period in which those organisms existed. Got it? That is, as I told you, the lowermost layers are considered to be the most primitive ones, right? Then the uppermost ones are considered to be the most recent ones. So you can get an idea in which time period those organisms might have existed. And the life forms, we can say that, varied over time, and certain life forms are restricted to certain geological time spans. Do you understand? That is, for example, if you take dinosaurs, so we know that dinosaurs, whether in the past, right? How we came to know about that? We have not seen the dinosaurs, but by studying the fossil remains of them, right? So here we can say that by studying this the geological structures, we can say that these dinosaurs might have lived only in certain period of time. Okay, they were not evolved as soon as the earth came into existence, and you know that they are not present today also, right? So only that organism was restricted only to certain era, what you say as the Jurassic era. Later you are going to study different time periods of the geological time scale. Okay, so that is one example I can give you. They survived only during that particular era, right? So how do we come to know about that? That is by studying the earth's crust, the fossils which have settled in different layers of the earth's crust. Okay, then we can say that the new forms of life have appeared at different times in the history of earth. So you in the previous video, students, we had discussed about the theory of special creation, right? What did that say? According to that theory of special creation, they said that all organisms came at the same time, right? And according to that, they say that the present there is no difference between the past, the organisms present in the past, and the organisms of the present day. Yes, so by looking at these evidences, that theory can be easily disproved. How? By this we can study that the new forms of life have appeared at different times. Yes, not human beings, you don't find them in the past as soon as the earth had originated, right? So after certain period of time, the apes, what they slowly evolved into the human beings, right? So like this, in the past there were different organisms, so those evolved into the newly present forms. Okay, so this is what we can infer by the study of fossils, right? So how do we determine the age of fossils? So as I told you previously, now we could see that they were present only in during some organisms were present only at certain period of time, right? So how can we come to know? By studying the age of fossils. So one technique to study the age of fossils is by radioactive dating technique. So what is this radioactive dating, children? If you have studied about the radioactive elements in your chemistry, you might be knowing about the half life of that elements, right? So there are various methods. So one such method is this radioactive dating method, right? So radioactive elements in the rocks. So you know, in the Earth's crust there are different elements present. There are also radioactive elements present. So these radioactive elements, generally they undergo transformation into a more stable element. As the time goes on, the radioactive element, they undergo transformation into more stable forms. Okay, so one such example I can give you is, generally uranium is converted into lead, and a gram of uranium produces 0.5 gram of lead. Okay, this is example I am giving you. A gram of uranium produces 0.5 gram of lead, and for this conversion it takes 4.5 billion years. Okay, that is, a gram of uranium produces 0.5 gram of lead in a period of 4.5 billion years. Okay, so here what you can infer by this, when you are studying the fossils in different layers, by seeing the radioactive elements present in those different layers, students, for example, think in that layer, dead remain you can find in one of the particular layers of earth, and there only you find some amount of lead is there, right? Think there is 0.5 gram of lead, there is uranium present. So by this you can infer that 0.5 gram of lead means uranium has taken 4.5 billion years to convert into that lead. So that the remains present there, they should be 4.5 billion years old. Okay, so this is one example what I have given you. So this is how what we can calculate or estimate the approximate age of the fossils. Okay, by radioactive dating. So not only uranium, many such radioactive elements can be taken, such as carbon 14 radioactive isotope of carbon 14. Okay, so that can also be used. So approximately that is used generally to study the fossils of around 50,000 years old, right? Then similarly even potassium is used, right? Then uranium lead technique, as I told you. Another technique is the potassium argon method, where potassium is converted into argon. Okay, so these are certain methods. So actually they have not given you these methods in your textbook. They have just mentioned that fossils, age of fossils can be studied by different techniques, and what are those techniques, the question has been asked. So this is the answer for those techniques. Got it? So let me show you how the fossils might be formed, or which are the different types of fossils. So this is just for your clarification how fossils are present actually, right? So fossils might be called as actual remains. There are different types of fossils, students, based on the methods of fossilization. Actual remains. So what do you mean by this? So here this is the most common type of fossil what we can find. They are generally found in the deep oceans, as I told you. As the sediments get settled in the oceans, there the dead remains might be formed. They may sink to the bottom of the sea and they remain as it is there. Okay, so this is one type of fossil. Or also sometimes they may get impressed, the entire body, it may get hardened on the stones, right? So this is what, on the hard stones it may get solidified there or hardened there. Or also sometimes they may get frozen or incorporated inside the seas, okay, in the deep oceans, in the waters, and right, so there they may get incorporated and they may get frozen. So there the body remains as it is, right? Then molds, another type is the molds. It is nothing but impression of the body parts, right? The organism will not be there, right? So it is just the mud which gets fossilized. The impression of the mud, what organism remains as it is, but the organism is actually lost. Okay, it is not found, it is lost, or it is decayed, or something might have happened, but the impression of that organism remains as it is on the soft mud. Generally on the oceanic floors you can find it, it remains. Okay, then later on that mud gets solidified. Then another type we have casts. So here when that mold, as I told you, what is mold? It is nothing but the impressions, right? So when the mold gets filled with minerals or the sand particles, then later that hardens, right? So it gets the shape of that organism only. Those are called as casts. You can see the difference here, right? Molds are just impressions, but the organism is lost. On that mold if you fill minerals or any sand particles, now it gets the shape of that organism. That is said to be the cast, right? So this is how you differentiate, right? This is what? This is the mold, and here you have the cast. The molds are impressions and this is the cast. Okay, these different types they have not given in your textbook. This is just for your reference. Okay, so this is how you identify the fossils. This is one example, students. They have given you a picture of this organism. What is this? What does it look like? Yes, it looks like a bird, right? But what is this here? See the tongue, the teeth it is having. Do birds have teeth? No. What is this organism then? It is Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx. Yes. So here, what is this Archaeopteryx? So students, this was the first fossil which was discovered by scientist Andreas Wagner. It is now kept in the British Museum. Okay, so this forms a connecting link between the birds and reptiles. So students, fossils also gave us an idea about the evolutionary history of organisms, the interrelationship between the organisms. When you see that Archaeopteryx, you can see the characters of both a bird and a reptile. So we can say that it is a connecting link between a bird and reptile. Okay, so how do we infer that? See the bird now. What is the reptilian characters present in it? You can see it has jaws which have homodont teeth. So you might be knowing what is homodont teeth. You have studied in the chapter digestive system previously. Homodont, heterodont in human beings we call it as, that is different types of teeth. Homodont in the sense all teeth are similar. They have homodont teeth. Then they have abdominal ribs as seen in the reptiles like crocodiles. Then they have digits in the forelimb, okay, which end with claws. Then they have hind limbs also. They have 4 digits in the hind limbs which also end with claws. So this is the reptilian characters. Now what is the avian characters? Aves means birds, you know. So they have a feathery exoskeleton. Completely the body is covered by feathers. They have the skull bones are all completely fused, that is to make it lighter. Okay, then the jaw here, no doubt jaws have teeth, but it is modified into a beak shape, right? Then forelimbs are here modified into wings. They show the presence of wings for flight, right? Then it is only having hind limbs which help in walking, right? So a pair of foot they have for walking. So this is the character of birds. Yes. So by this we can say that, students, birds are actually evolved from reptiles. Got it? By seeing the connecting link between the two, Archaeopteryx is the first bird which is formed, fossil bird. Got it? So this shows that birds are evolved from reptiles. And Huxley called the birds as glorified reptiles. Glorified means what? Modified. Okay, modified according to their what? Desire, right? According to their usage. So they were called as glorified reptiles. This is one example of fossil remains. Archaeopteryx is a fossil bird which is found. Got it, students? So what did you come to know now by studying about the fossils? So study of fossils, it is useful in establishing the phylogeny. What is phylogeny, students? It is nothing but the studying the evolutionary history of organisms. Okay, how the organisms evolved from the primitive forms, and how can you connect the two organisms? What is the connection or interrelationship between the two organisms? That we can study by observing those fossil remains. Got it? Then studying various forms and structures of the extinct organisms. So dinosaurs, we don't know, we have not seen the dinosaurs, but how could we imagine the structure of those organisms? All have seen the movie Jurassic Park. They have shown such huge organisms there, dinosaurs there, with the typical structure of reptiles, right? So how did they infer? That is mainly by studying the fossil remains of those organisms. Then, as I told you, Archaeopteryx, right? So how did we come to know that the first bird was like this? Or how did we come to know that the birds have evolved from reptiles? By studying the fossil remains of that Archaeopteryx. Okay, then it helps to understand the habit of the extinct animals by observing the fossils, or by studying the geology of the earth's crust. Wherever those fossils were found, we can come to know the habitat in where those organisms might have existed, right? Then it also provides a connecting link between the two organisms. Yes, so this is about the paleontological evidences, students. Thank you very much. Hope you have understood. In the next module, we'll continue with the next evidences, that is the embryological evidences. Then what you have, the comparative anatomy, anatomical evidences, then the molecular evidences. So in paleontological evidences here, students, you should be knowing what are fossils, what is paleontology, how the fossils are formed in the sedimentary rocks, and what is the significance of fossils. Okay, that much should be understood, right? So once again, thank you. We'll continue in the next module.